Hey there, sweet souls. How are you? I was just sitting here and I was nudged to do a quick video on soaking, sprouting, and why this is key in our diets, whether it's everything from quinoa to chickpeas to sunflower seeds to even an almond butter. All of that in my kitchen. I don't just have an almond butter, I have a sprouted almond butter. I don't just have a brown rice flour or an oat flour. I have a sprouted oat flour. So what does this really mean when we're talking about sprouted and soaked, and why is this so key when it comes to true health and really understanding it? So why soaking and sprouting is key, and that's the only things I allow in my kitchen. If not, I'm taking a digestive enzyme when I go out to restaurants and things aren't soaked, like nuts on a salad or quinoa or anything like that, or rice, is because plants, so things like nuts and seeds and grains, they have this protective coating. It's called phytic acid, or sometimes they have enzyme inhibitors. This is their protective coating. Why? Because they don't have things like stingers or legs to run away. So this is their way of protecting themselves. And what this does is this coating then coats the almonds, the walnut, the oats, the rice, the lentils, the chickpeas, the kidney beans, whatever it is. It protects that so that it makes its way through your body with this protective coating, so your body doesn't really even break it down, get any of the nutrients from it when you eat that handful of almonds or that almond butter or a handful of pumpkin seeds. You may think that they're high in magnesium, which they are, but your body really isn't absorbing it because it has this protective coating. And so it makes its way through your body, and then it's complete with fertilizer, which is your poop, which allows it then to continue thriving and living and growing and multiplying. Now, we may ask if this is so key, and the woman I learned this from, it's from the book that I started out with when I first went vegan, because I wanted things to be gluten-free, because I hadn't cleansed yet. I hadn't worked with my naturopath and done colon, kidney, liver parasites, and then heavy metals. So I still had a big allergy to gluten, but of course that disappeared once I cleaned out the amount of toxins in my body and cleaned out those detox pathways. I was able to do gluten, but I still avoid it now just because it's so it's really inflammatory for the body. But the book I started out with was the book that helped me go vegan, gluten-free, it was soy-free, and this is where I first learned about the power of soaking and sprouting. Why? Because when she started doing it, and the book is Yum Universe by Heather Crosby, and she has a blog, Yum Universe, so there's tons of free recipes on there. Get on her email list as well. She has a second book out too, but what happened is she stopped getting cavities once she started soaking ingredients or only eating soaked ingredients, like the sprouted almond butter, or what's one of my other go-tos is sprouted quinoa, not just quinoa, but sprouted. So same thing with almond milk. I don't do a lot of, even though I'm vegan, I don't do a lot of nut milks. I just use water and a lot of stuff. But this is the only company that does sprouted almonds, and also it's glyphosate free, residue free, and it has no gums or fillers. It's such a clean brand because they really get it. So she stopped getting cavities because her body then didn't have to work so hard to just even try to break down the phytic acid, the enzyme inhibitor, around the Brazil nut or around the almonds or around the quinoa or around those pumpkin seeds or sunflower seeds, because so our body doesn't have to pull nutrients out of our bones and out of every other place in our body to try to break things down, versus soaking is something that the ancients did and understood, and we've gotten away from that because why? Because it takes time. we are leaving the 3D Earth, which means that we were living in a world where we picked things out of convenience, or because it was easy, or because we didn't want to take the time to soak it. Now, I will go over some things I do soak myself because I just can't find soaked ingredients in the store. Some of them I do find soaked, and those are my shortcuts. So you kind of have to decide, and I'll go over that as well. But so she stopped getting cavities after she started eating soaked ingredients because her body didn't have to work so hard to break it down. So, but this means when I go out to a restaurant, very few places do soak stuff unless it's a very small, like mom and pop, like vegan place, and they're using soaked sunflower seeds or soaked almonds or whatever. So I'll either ask for the nuts off of a salad, or sometimes I can't avoid the quinoa, and I'm hungry and I want something a little bit more than like lettuce or avocado. And so that's why I take digestive enzymes. It helps when I'm out eating unsoaked ingredients. And the digestive enzymes I use are on my site, lifting-the-veil.com. It's on every sidebar of the blog. So if you're reading on your phone, it will be the last thing after reading a blog post. If you're on the computer, it will always be on the right-hand side. It will just always, I have it there because it changes. Sometimes the company changes. And right now I have the ones that I'm using and really, really like that help you break down unsoaked ingredients as well as just other things in your food. So the ancients always soak things, soaking to remove that phytic acid or that enzyme inhibitor. Now and I have steps on this in my course about 5 easy ways to reduce the toxins in your life. The online course with my naturopath, where you can do the same cleansing that I did, all with things from the earth, so colon, the liver, parasites, and then you can continue with her later if you want to do heavy metals. But so soaking is super easy. The main thing you have to know is to do it in glass, not plastic and not metal, because you're going to add some sort of an acid, so like lemon juice or apple cider vinegar, to break down that enzyme inhibitor or phytic acid. And so you don't want it pulling out this stuff in plastic if you're soaking it in plastic. So there are restaurants that I know, even a large restaurant, that was soaking some things and doing things, but of course restaurants do things in plastic. They don't do it in glass. If you watch, like the Food Network, they're cooking things a lot of time with aluminum foil, and then they're putting things in plastic, and especially, or they buy tomatoes and they use them, that they come in cans, and you don't want acidic things in cans. It's pulling out the aluminum. So a big no. I do not buy, if I buy tomatoes, not a tomato sauce, but if I buy tomatoes, I do not buy them in a can. I buy them from a Jovial is the brand, and they're in a jar. And of course they're organic, but never in a can. So soaking, you always want to do it in glass. And so you want to do it, and here's some organic jasmine brown rice I have soaking. So it's in a glass jar. It's with filtered water, so not tap water. And then you want to add some sort of, so you can add a lemon juice. I just add a dash of apple cider vinegar, and that's all you need. And there are different soak times. This is all listed in my course, and it's listed in the book as well. But again, that's why I do these courses, because I've kind of taken all the information out there and put it in one place for you. There are different soak times. So like cashews are 2 to 4 hours. Those are the least amount. Walnuts are like 8 hours. Usually beans and rice are things like 12 hours. And you may think, oh my gosh, I don't have time to do that. But the easiest thing is to do it at night before you go to bed. So even if cashews are 2 to 4 hours, and of course you're going to sleep for more than 2 to 4 hours, it doesn't matter. You're not hurting anything if you soak longer than the amount of time. You just want to at least get to that time. Yes, it's better to soak rice for 3 hours versus not at all, but I just do it at night. I don't do it every night. Now in self-quarantine, I'm doing it a little bit more because or just that I don't eat out a ton, but I'm just not eating out a lot. And so I'm using a lot of my, just kind of kitchen staples and things like that. So before I go to bed, I'll put the rice or the chickpeas or the kidney beans or the lentils or the almonds or the walnuts. I'll put them in a bowl, and each one gets its own. So you don't want to do walnuts with rice or almonds with pumpkin seeds. Each one gets its own. Each food item gets its own bowl, and then fill it with water and then a little bit of the apple cider vinegar to break it down. And then in the morning when I wake up, it's already had 7, 8, 9 hours. And so then I just rinse it, and then that's it. Now the key is that, so this rice, again, this rice, I can rinse it, and then I can cook it now, and then I can have just some brown, lovely, organic soaked rice to go with a meal for tonight or tomorrow, or it can already be cooked. I can rinse it and not cook it and keep it in the fridge covered for about a week, or I can rinse it and then let it dry out completely. So if you have a dehydrator, I don't. So if I let things dry out, if I'm not gonna cook it within a week or cook it right then, and I want it just to have it already soaked and ready to go, you have to let it completely dry out, either in a dehydrator, or I just put things on a cookie sheet and let it spread out, or you can put it in your oven at a very, very low temperature for several hours to dry it out, and then you can store it whenever you're ready to go. So I won't do that with rice because that's a lot of little rice granules to spread out and make sure that they dry out completely. But I have this jar of organic hazelnuts, and these I soaked several months ago. So I soaked them, then I rinsed them when I woke up the next morning, and then I just put them out on a cookie sheet and I just let them completely dry out. If I were to put them in here before they had dried out, they could get mold on them. This is why if you're not cooking it and eating it within a week, soaked ingredients, and you're drying it out, you want to make sure it's definitely dried out. So so then that means I could have, this could be filled with rice, this could be filled with chickpeas, this could be filled with lentils that have been soaked. So I know that sounds like a lot of work, but again, there are good brands that really get it. So the Malk is, they have oat milk as well. Oats are super high in phytic acid, very, very, very high. So I know a lot of vegans especially make oatmeal, but that's we want to use soap. So a great brand is 1 Degree Organics. They make a granola that's gluten-free, and guess what? They use sprouted oats. So then I could take this and whiz this up in my blender and have oat flour, but it would be organic sprouted oat flour. There is a company, the Sprouted Flour Company, and so everything is sprouted. So this is garbanzo bean flour, but it's sprouted. They also make a brown rice flour. It's organic and sprouted. They also make other flours that are sprouted. And then same thing, I don't just buy almond butter, organic almond butter, I buy sprouted. The only ingredient here is sprouted almonds. Sprouted just means you take the soaking a step further and you let it sit kind of in a jar with a little bit of water, and you wait till it literally, a sprout comes up. So you've activated it. You've unlocked the nutrient door. So instead of eating things that pulls nutrients and minerals out of your body and you don't really even get to absorb it, now you're unlocking it and it's available to you. It's so much more bioavailable and not as toxic because it's not high in phytic acid and enzyme inhibitors. Something else, this is like a really big go-to, sprouted quinoa. It's in a bag. It cooks in like 3 minutes. That's the other thing. When you start to soak things, I soak lentils and then I'll make them, 2 days later after I soak them. They cook in like 10 minutes, even less. Beans are like less than 15 minutes after they've been soaked. So I don't buy canned stuff because, again, I don't know the water that it's in. I don't want it in aluminum. I buy dry stuff, and then I soak it a few days before I'm going to use it, or I soak it and dry it out and then store it in here. Now for snack bars, there's only one company that uses soaked stuff, and that is Go Raw. This is not snack bars, but these are organic soaked pumpkin seeds. They have organic soaked sunflower seeds. They have snack bars. They have like pizza snacks that are made out of this. Everything is gluten-free, organic, and soaked. And so that's all I have for you out of the products that I pulled out of my kitchen. But that is soaking and why it is so important. So I hope that helps. Again, let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you soon.